I can imagine that each one of you here today can think of a time when you were in a situation similar to the people in the 1 Samuel passage. You are absolutely certain of what you want, and no matter what, cannot be dissuaded. What came to my mind is a conversation between a teenager and a parent. The teen is dead set on a course of action. The parent perhaps already has made a similar decision and therefore knows the pitfalls that could befall that teen. Lays out the consequences in the hopes of dissuading the child. Yet the teen decides to ignore all the parents' advice and goes ahead anyway. They are getting along just fine, thank you very much. I've made the right decision. And so it is with Samuel. The people tell him that they want a king. They want to be like everybody else around them. In addition, they know that Samuel will not be with them all that long, a limited time, given his age, and there is no one who is likely to succeed him. They have seen how all of the other countries operate, and it really seems like a good deal. It works. Samuel goes to God with his concerns and his frustrations. And after speaking with God, Samuel outlines all of the consequences of having a king. A king will take all of their sons, putting them in the army or using them to provide labor that will benefit who? The king. They will lose their daughters also, using them for his benefit as well. Their land and all it produces will be taxed to support this king and those whom he chooses. The same will happen with their livestock. There will be hardship for the people. Hardship like they have not seen before. And when the people turn to God for relief, they will find out what it really means. God will not answer. In addition, there will be no more miraculous deliveries when all of those nations that threaten the king and their own nation bloom. The people seem to have forgotten the miracles God has already performed on their behalf. They no longer remember their miraculous escape from Egypt with Pharaoh's armies in hot pursuit. So too have they forgotten the battle of Jericho. God instructed them to walk around the walled city 1 time each day, and 7 times on the 7th day. And then, when that trumpet blew, the walls tumbled down, and the Israelites were victorious. And what about the victory of Gideon's army in Judges? Gideon's army of a mere 300 defeated the Midianite army of over 100,000. All these warnings fall on deaf ears. What is motivating the people to insist on a king? Well, pride for one. People are overconfident in their own ability to function and function well without God's constant presence and help when necessary. Their pridefulness has also rendered them unable to appreciate all that God has done for and with them. Fear and anxiety, also big factors. They are concerned about their survival without a strong figure like Samuel to guide them, for clearly his sons are incapable of following in his way, which is God's way. And therefore the people turn to solutions that they have seen others deploy with success. If they had a king, they could unify the people. That king would provide the necessary structure for order in the country. A king would ensure their defense from their enemies with a very strong military, able to stand up. They panic in the face of a sense that what they know and have relied on is unraveling before them. They have to rely on themselves because there's just no one else. They know that the old order is crumbling before their very eyes. They reject God. They reject Samuel. And they find the solutions they seek by looking around at what others are doing and seek to imitate what they see. Jesus faces the same sort of situation in our reading from Mark. The crowd has witnessed all of Jesus' healings and the way he has behaved with the tax collectors, and they find that they are uncomfortable with Jesus' actions. He is disrupting what they know and what they believe, and this fills them with fear and anxiety. And in response, they accuse Jesus of being subservient to a demon. His family also responds with fear and anxiety, restraining him. Jesus warns the people against committing an eternal sin should they continue fighting Jesus and his ministry. And what is that eternal sin? Well, they are creating false narratives around Jesus' actions that protect their own spheres of influence and control. The danger begins when they start believing the false narratives that they have created. Both memories and crowds can be fickle. So let's look first at memories. Often we find that memories are actually they are misremembrances of different events. One of my closest friendships dates from kindergarten. And one day, we had been painting. Our teacher told us to put down our brushes as she was going to collect all of our supplies. My friend has a totally different memory of what happened than what I do. She says I quietly painted my hand purple. Not supposed to do that. Now, I have no recollection whatsoever of that event. Such action doesn't work with my own self-image of being that flagrant a rule violator. While it is, of course, a light-hearted example, I suspect that all of you can explore a more serious example as you look around our world today. Memories can either fail us or create a false narrative that can lead down a path full of pitfalls, known and unknown. And in this way, we are just like the people whom Samuel speaks to God about. Memories of God's mercies and past protections have been forgotten in the wake of their present fear and anxiety. As we know, crowds too can be fickle. A friend told me recently of how an event that had been carefully and meticulously planned and that went awry in a very way that was totally unpredictable. The event was part of a program offering meals to children and youth in the community. All was going well until it wasn't. A group of teen boys from the community were getting into some mischief. And when an adult tried to redirect them, some of the boys texted their parents describing how they were being mistreated. And before my friend knew it, there was a crowd of angry parents on the doorstep. And one of them had called the police, who responded. Angry invectives were being thrown around, and in the heat of the moment, one parent said she would burn the building down in retribution for her son's treatment. Upon hearing this, my friend, I don't know how she did this, but she calmly said to the woman that she had heard what she had said and that she took such a threat seriously enough to inform the police, who were already present. Well, that seemed to calm the crowd down to the point that they were able to listen to one another and find a resolution. Perhaps that is the path that God considers the best. God told Samuel to listen to the people first. And Jesus does the same. when he tells the crowd around them that they are his brothers, sisters, and his mother. Listening is that first step to finding a common ground on which to build. The path ultimately chosen could include some difficult and unforeseen consequences, as the Samuel passage demonstrates. However, if fear and anxiety have been heard, the door is more likely to remain open to finding a way forward through those consequences. The common ground already established remains steadfast. God is present, and God is steadfast. Pride can be put aside, trust rebuilt in such a situation, although it will not necessarily be easy. Perhaps Jesus makes it seem easy in our passage today, but we know, in fact, such a path can be pretty darn difficult. So how do we do it? We are calm. We somehow manage to tamp down our own fear and anxiety. And most importantly, we trust in a merciful God to show us the way. To God be all glory and honor, now and forever. Alleluia and amen.